Another interesting week for transfer time here on FanFormula. And first of all, I know I said it on Twitter, but happy birthday to fellow FanFormulite Squiffany. Many happy returns, my dear, and hope you had a great birthday. Obviously, hopefully, you had a good one, and looking forward to seeing what your comments will be. As always, very interesting indeed. Now, we've now finally got some silly things and answers, and let's get on to the question, shall we? Why not? Jake Humphrey. I think it was inevitable that Jake was going to move, first of all, from a personal opinion. He's been really much as the anchor of the programme, trying to keep DC and EJ in check, and having the lovely Lee McKenzie doing the being the pit lane reporter, and Gary Anderson doing a fantastic job on the technical side of things in his own unique way. 2013. Well, F1 Chat provided a very interesting statement from Will Buxton of Speed, a Brit who's probably very well respected in Formula One circles and has a lot of knowledge at such an incredibly young age. I think he could probably bring a nice dynamic to the team. And obviously, he would have been around with Eddie Jordan and DC, in the paddock, and having a bit of a laugh and a chat and reminiscing about old things happening in Formula One. So I could see him probably doing a good job. One person I'd like to see back was from the old ITV days, which was Jim Rosenthal, and he's a very consummate professional, and I think that'd be good to see him back. So it's either between Will or Jim, and I'd prefer to see either one of them in the role and see what they bring to the table, really. And the big question of the night, Hamilton to Mercedes, what's your view on his decision? Well, I think with every racing driver, they need a challenge, they need a change, they need a new tool to make them motivated. Because in some respects, I think Lewis had probably felt a bit stifled, probably a bit hampered in many respects, but not probably just through McLaren, because things obviously weren't working out last season, and it all sort of started, the cogs started turning, I think, in a lot of people's minds when he had the impromptu meeting with Christian Horner from Red Bull Racing, and then obviously was spotted outside the Mercedes AMG F1 garage in the rain with his brolly up. I think it's a very brave move, first of all, and at the end of the day, I think really the amount of people that have said to him that he's a traitor or whatever, is by the by. He's one of the fastest Formula One drivers, as we know, and I think with the partnership with Nico Rosberg, I think is a good one, because they were racing together as teammates in Team MBM.com in 2000, and I think this partnership's going to go a long way. Two young talents with a very well experienced and well implanted engineering team with the likes of Aldo Costa, Bob Bell, and of course Ross Brawn. We're going to see quite a few changes, hopefully for the better, for Mercedes. I think 2013 is going to be a difficult year, because the team's still evolving, they're putting things in place, and obviously they're going to have to get to know how Lewis works, and Lewis is going to have to know how Mercedes works. But I think when we come to 2014 with the engine regulations, he's going to have, I think, a good chance, because Mercedes supplies customer engines in Formula One, obviously with regards to McLaren, Mercedes, and also Sahara Force India. So he'll have, because the team build the engines for their customers as well, so Lewis is going to have a bit of a slight advantage, to say the least. So I think it's really a case of wait and see what Hamilton brings to the table, and whether he's going to pull the team in the right direction. So stay tuned. I think really in some respects Perez was not so much belittled, but I think Ferrari thought he wasn't ready. But in the last 18 months he has grown and matured as a Formula One driver, and he's incredibly kind to his tyres. I think it's a good decision that he's gone to McLaren, because we're going to see two drivers of very considerably similar racing styles, very kind to their tyres, use strategy very well, good in adverse conditions as well, not to mention Malaysia for Sergio, and then obviously Canada last year for Jensen. So we could see an interesting dynamic there. I think Ferrari aren't probably that reticent, not so much reticent, I think they've probably had an idea that he probably was having itchy feet and wanted to go elsewhere to have his chance, and don't be at all surprised if Ferrari might want to lure him back at some point in the future. They're not stupid, so just wait and see on that one as well. He was an FDA driver, and it's going to be a bit difficult for him to pop into Marino and say, hey, I need some simulator time. Not with McLaren, no. And the bonus question, who's going to fill Perez's boots? Sauber. Ooh, there's so much rumour. Kovalainen, Schumacher, Alguersuari. Could be in the frame. So I'll probably say it's a bit of a difficult decision because there's so many rumours flying about. But I think there's a number of drivers. I mean, Esteban Gutierrez from GP2 could very well fill Perez's boots as a young fellow Mexican with the Telmex sponsorship being, heavily backing the Himmel-based squad. So it's another one where we're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, silly season's not over yet by a long shot, and we've got to wait until we see how the final pieces of the puzzle settle into place. Because the chess moves aren't over yet, and until it's checkmate, we won't know the final outcome. So, on my slightly shortened version, FanFormula, good evening, and I'll see you after Japan.